looking at Nielsen's study, for me it was clear that the elements, the aspects chosen to explain, and again I have explained in quotation mark because, as I pointed out, it's not very clearly explained. So the elements chosen to explain differences between developed and developing countries are, for me, too limited, and too much emphasis is put on money. Regarding emphasis on money, I think I should explain the meaning of gross national income per capita. So gross national income means, yes, money. Money made by all residents, so someone who lives in the country for at least 1 year, meaning I am a Japanese resident. I have lived in Japan for almost 10 years, so I am a resident. So the money I'm making here is included in the Japanese gross national income. Also, the money made through the production of final goods, so a good that you can use as it is, you don't need to change it anymore. Or services, so final goods or services in 1 year. So the GNI measures the amount of money made by all residents, but also the salaries and income property from citizens living abroad. So for instance, if you're a Japanese living in the US, the salary you receive or the income property that you receive will be calculated in the gross national income. Per capita simply means per person. And the way they calculate the total number of people in a country is in the middle of the year. If you're more familiar with the gross domestic product, GDP, well, you just need to understand that the main difference between GDP and GNI is who is making the income and paying taxes. For the GDP, it's only citizens in the country. So no residents and no citizens outside of the country, which is what the GNI counts, citizen outside of the country and residents. So the big difference is who is making the money. To summarize, the gross national income per capita measures the money made by all residents, the salaries and income property from citizens living abroad. That's why I believe that the GNI, measuring development only through the GNI, emphasizes money too much. As I said, I believe there is too much emphasis on money in the elements chosen to explain differences between developed and developing countries. I also said earlier that they are too limited. I believe that we need to take into considerations other aspects of a meaningful life. And I have that belief based on my experience with Tibetan refugees in India. To my surprise, when I went there the first time, I realized how little they cared about money. Most of them actually had no wallet. But they do care about having the freedom to practice their religion. That is what motivates many of them to walk, and I said walk, from Tibet to India through Nepal, which means walking through the Himalayas. And they do this just to be able to see their spiritual leader, who is His Holiness the Dalai Lama. So money isn't the only source of a good and meaningful life. For Tibetans, the freedom to practice their religion is another aspect. So what we have now is too limited. And yes, I am not forgetting the fact that the Human Development Index also measures health and education. As you know, these two aspects are for me very important too, but I believe we are missing another one, which is the environment. Hence my claim that it is still too limited, even with the Human Development Index. That is why I would like you to research, to look at other ways to measure development. I have selected 2 other ways to measure development, namely gross national happiness, and you have the information on your worksheet to access the video I'd like you to watch if you choose to research gross national happiness more, or inclusive wealth, which is rather new way of measuring the differences between developed and developing countries using the manufactured capital, the human capital, and the natural capital, the environment, what I think we've been missing so far. Again, all the details are on your worksheet. Please read it and be prepared to discuss one of these 2 topics. This is the end of the flipped activities for week 3, and I have added the references if you want to look a bit more deeply into what I have discussed here today. Thank you.